Alright guys, and welcome back to another episode of the YouTube. I nearly said the Lifestyle Lips podcast there. Obviously, it's been a couple of weeks now since the last episode, and there have actually been quite a few little updates to report since the last one. So yeah, we'll get into those, I suppose, to kick things off. But yeah guys, obviously with the last vlog, I was 5 weeks out at that stage, and yeah, there has been a change of plans, hashtag change of plans, to things. So as of today, which is I think the 8th of April, I could be wrong, let me double check. Fuck's sake, it's the 9th. I'm so bad for that. Don't even realise what date it is. The 9th of April, I'm 11 days out from the start of prep, which is obviously pretty exciting. So yeah, have that to look forward to. But no, that's obviously a bit of a change from the last time that I was obviously on here. So yeah, no longer multiple weeks out, just 11 days. So it is all of a sudden very real. So yeah, what that looked like was essentially just moving the timeline 2 weeks earlier. So what that means is essentially, yeah, from next week's check-in, that's my last check-in before prep. So I'll be getting my numbers and stuff off of AJ and then just cracking on from the 20th. Thought process behind it is really just, I do think there was a slight miscalculation just in that my first show is actually 20 weeks away from the 20th. So yeah, but I'm sitting in a good spot. To be honest, I'm not really too worried about getting into condition at all. So yeah, it should be good. Should obviously be a productive prep. I'm looking forward to kicking things off, especially for obviously you guys and just for content in general. Everybody knows that prep just makes things a lot more exciting in terms of content creation. But yeah, today for me is actually leg day, and it's my first session back today at full volume as well, which is interesting. So yeah, I've been devoluming / deloading since last Tuesday was my last full volume session, because yeah, I mean, as usual, just started to notice a few little niggles, a few little pains in areas that you don't really want to be noticing them, especially going into a prep. Like, we did want to try and put it off until just a week before starting prep, so that obviously I was fresh and then ready to kick on. But yeah, I started to notice this real weird shooting pain up my calf, like the outside of my calves, both of them actually, after I would come off the pendulum. Whether that's down to my stance or whatever, I don't know. Need to play about with it a little bit more, I think. But yeah, I noticed that, and it had been fine for a few weeks. Like, I'd noticed it after the pendulum, whatever, you know, go to bed, wake up next day, it was fine. But it did start to get to the point there where I was just noticing it all day, without bearing any weight, and obviously that's not good. So yeah, just took that as a bit of a sign that a back off was needed, and AJ agreed. So yeah, we obviously got that done. What that looks like for me is usually 4 days totally off training, and then 3 devolume sessions. And if you've hit a devolume session before, you know they're not very fun. So yeah, really just a box ticking exercise there, and wanted to wait until today before yeah, kicking off another vlog. But yeah, it should be a good one. Obviously today for me, Thursday, it's a normal work day, so obviously need to get that sorted before heading to the gym, but that should be fine. Like, should be fairly chill, to be honest. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be a few other things that I'll delve into throughout the day beforehand. Plan for this one is probably to keep this vlog rolling up until Saturday evening, as well, as we do have a couple of plans on Saturday, which should be good crack, with a couple of the other lads. So yes guys, obviously stay tuned for the rest of the clips. I hope you enjoy as always. Thanks very much for the support on the last one. I do very much appreciate it. I certainly hit my hit my target of 100 views. All right, guys, so it's a bit further on in the day now. I have another, what, four-ish hours of work until I head to the gym for legs. And thankfully, it's been a pretty quiet day so far. I think that's, I'll touch wood, because no doubt, now that I've said that, everything will kick off. But yeah, I think that's probably because obviously we're still within the Easter week and a lot of people have taken time off. But yeah, no, a lot of my day is obviously spent stood at a desk, which isn't ideal if you're trying to be a bodybuilder, particularly if you're on a prep or in a diet when expenditure is obviously a little bit more important. I know a lot of people would probably argue it's important year round. I have my own thoughts on that, but I mean, I don't disagree. I just think sometimes priorities can result in things like steps and expenditure taking a little bit of a backseat. My opinion's always been I would much rather spend longer in the gym than spend half an hour out for steps. But yeah, anyway, I digress. Yeah, it's obviously not ideal. Like if your job involves you being on a building site all day, or you know, are walking around uni or whatever, obviously you're going to burn more calories. You'll probably have an easier job of losing fat. For somebody like me who's coming into a competition prep, steps are something I'm going to have to lean on and prioritize quite a bit more. You know, at the moment I'm on 7.5k per day. If I'm being truthful, do I hit that every day? No. And to be honest, you know, when you go on prep, when you come into a diet, there isn't an excuse really for you to not be hitting targets. You have to be nailing things. Otherwise, you've got nobody to blame other than yourself for a lack of progress, or maybe not matching the rate of loss that your coach has projected for you. So, you know, that's obviously going to be increasing to maybe 12.5k, you know, in some cases 15k at peak prep. I think I got up to 15k last time at one stage. So yeah, obviously, that's a little bit more of a time sink whenever you're someone like me who, you know, I spend all of my day behind a computer coding. That's pretty much what my job looks like, staring at computer screens. I am surprised my eyes are not square by this stage. The other thing I did want to note, I actually sent away a sample of bloods on Tuesday just to get my markers checked, mainly my testosterone, because I'm just kind of interested. Because the last time I would have got any form of testosterone reading would have been after my last prep when I was in the fucking bin. So yeah, done that. I'm not a fan of blood. I'm not gonna lie, lads. It's definitely something that I struggle with. Being in hospitals, clinical environments, I'm just not very good with it. Saying that, I didn't think this would happen. I got one of those kits from Randox, which if you've ever done them, like you attach like the little device to your shoulder, and it like it's not like a pinprick, like it actually extracts the blood into a little test tube. And I stuck it on and started it on Tuesday morning, and I felt so sick. I felt so faint. It was mad. Yeah, not, I mean, just not my strong point, being anywhere near hospitals or even seeing like fucking test tubes and all that stuff. It just really throws me. So yeah, again, that's another reason that I've always stayed clear of anabolics. I couldn't imagine like injecting myself. I don't know how I sat through this, to be honest, for probably a combined 30 hours. Because obviously you do bleed during a tattoo as well. But yeah, anyway, enough rambling. I'll wait for those results to come back and then obviously spill those when I get them. But yeah, guys, outside of that, I'll obviously look forward to catching up with you when I get to the gym. I miss my mother's southern drawl and I'm praying through the walls in the evening. All right, guys, so we have made it to the gym. Shorts on and all for legs this evening. It must be hot girl season, but yeah, I kind of laughed when I came here. Like, you'll know exactly where this is if you come to the gym or the gym dock. I feel like all the people that like care about their cars tend to park up at the front here because they just leave absolutely huge gaps between spaces. Pulled into my space there and just thought, yeah, like I'll sit with you guys. You clearly understand the assignment. So yeah, obviously we're heading in for legs here. I will run through the session when I'm in there. We're starting off with 2 sets on the leg extension here. So session order looks like 2 sets on the leg extension, 2 sets on the lion hamstring curl. So yes, I am that guy, and I go straight from 2 sets of leg extensions into the hamstring variant on this Prime hybrid machine. Both of these sets are ran, first set at setting 5, second at setting 3. After that, I've obviously got my adductors, which I just like to hit early in the session to get blood in. And then we move on to the main squat patterns after that. So we've got the Arsenal leg press, the Arsenal pendulum, single leg leg press, as well as a calf press to finish, and then some ab work. So it is quite a long one. Right, so I've nabbed this one from Jake. Actually, surprise, surprise. But no, I think it's just common sense as well. Don't waste time with your warm-ups running like the exact protocol you would inside your set in terms of accessories. Like, I'll literally come in, leg extension, go straight to it. Maybe the first set, I'll just use my lifting straps to hold me into the seat. There's no point messing about with a seat belt for 3 warm-up sets, for example. You may as well just, you know, as you get further into your warm-ups, add more of these things to it. So for example, with the leg extension, I'll probably use the seat belt on my last warm-up set, you know. Reece, how many warm-up sets do you usually do?
1 or 2.
2, right, so like, think of the amount of time you're gonna be saving. Yeah. Cheers. I feel like this is common sense at this stage, but when it comes to training with the same style that I employ, and to be fair, probably how I program the majority of my clients, when you're running a top set and a back off, the top set, for me, I can accept a degree of inaccuracy in the movement. I'm not saying you want to, you know, just abandon all concept of form and just throw it out the window. But I do use my top sets to try and actually move some weight and accept that things may not be, you know, textbook as far as the form goes. That said, I do pay very close attention to what muscle is actually doing the work. But I do treat my back offs as a bit of an opportunity to slow things down a little bit more and focus more so on the actual target musculature. So I'm sure that'll be evident in this set. Cheers. Mate, are you wearing Lynx Africa? Are you wearing Lynx Africa?
Yeah.
You can smell it off this machine. I fucking smelt the machine there and was like, ah, oh, bro, like the holy scent. Something so many people forget about on a hamstring curl as well is use your straps to strap yourself in so that you can pull yourself into the actual machine. Just create as much stability as possible in your sets. One more. That'll do, that'll do. I don't want you doing the whole wrap. Remember I told you not to fucking slam that? It was stuck there. I actually thought the machine was broke. I was about to be like, oh, here we go. Respect your gym, son. Respect the kit, mate. So, I know that I was obviously on this piece in my last session, but I didn't really talk too much about it. Honestly, I think this is probably the best leg press I've ever used. Would you agree? The Arsenal leg press is probably the best leg press going.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the nicest. Yeah, man, it literally is life-changing. If your gym does not have one of these and you're from Northern Ireland and you're like within a close distance to the dock, I would honestly recommend just coming up here and training legs purely to get to use this. It's such a good bit of kit. Lovely. Yep, on again. Drive. Yep, yep, on again. Let's go. Now you're working. Drive, drive, drive. That's yours, that's yours, that's yours, that's yours.
One more.
Let's go. Here, mate, that was mega. That was a good set, right? 11 days to prep, touching new weight. Think of the fatigue, bro. Okay.
Let's go, Balmer. Yeah. Easy, mate. Yeah. Now we're working. Let's go. Yeah.
Oh.
You're up. Come on.
Ah.
One more. Let's go. Come on. Finish.
Oh. Cheers. Down 1, up 2.5. I'll take that. What sort of psychopath does this? Seriously, like? Alright, so I really debated whether I wanted to do this or not, because who wants to watch sets of calves on YouTube? But one thing I do want to stress, and I think it's worth thinking about whenever you are training calves, and I do think I have license to say this because my calves aren't bad, is really just think about spending time before each change of direction. You know, a lot of times you'll see people on a calf press just fucking rocket between the short and the lengthened. just slow it way down. Spend some time in the short and in the lengthened before you initiate that change of direction. You'll just end up like rinsing your calves so much more and just coming away from the set feeling like you've achieved so much more. So yeah, that's just food for thought, one to bear in mind. Yes. Yep, and again. Yep, and again. Ooh. Let's go. Yep, yep, and again. Big legs. Lad, I literally just fucking tapped you out of the hole. So, yeah, D-Day, we are back on the pendulum. This Arsenal pendulum is a very harsh pendulum squat. If you've never used this, it's heavy as fuck. I swear the machine by itself weighs about 80 kilos without anything on it, which is why I'm struggling to even do 3 plates on it, I swear guys. Today, I've decided to be quite smart here. I've actually dropped 5 kilos off this. And to be honest, the thought process there is just, I don't want to fuck myself. I don't want to risk making the issues with my ankles any worse. You know, at this stage for me, I do need to be a little bit smart with the choices that I make. You know, I'm just about to start prep here and I've just come off the back of a deload. It's probably not the time to just fully send it first session back. So yeah, we'll take this for a run, 2.5 plates, see how far I can push things. And then we'll see, obviously, about next week.
Yeah. Out again, man. Let's go. Let's work now. Come on. Finish. Let's go.
Ooh. All right, guys, so it is Friday now, of course. I wrapped up the session last night and it was a good session, to be fair, like a solid first session back. I really can't complain as far as the numbers go. You know, a good leg session to build on next week before obviously prep kicks off. And then I'm sure, you know, during the first couple of weeks of prep, I'm kind of just expecting to continue to make small progressions and build on performance where I can anyway. Like, just because a diet starts or you start a prep, you know, yes, it is inevitable, especially as you dig further, you will maybe see some small performance drop-offs, but during those first couple of weeks, like, you're not really going to see that. You know, it doesn't even matter how severe the deficit is, you're not going to notice a crazy drop-off in terms of performance. So you shouldn't really be going into the gym thinking that that's going to be the case, because if you approach your sessions with that mindset, you're a lot more likely to see negative implications of the deficit and just all of that cross transfer into your performance in the gym, which we all know. You know, whenever you're in a diet, whenever you're in a deficit, your training is going to be the main contributor, preserving that muscle mass, and obviously your look at the end of the day, the look that you present on stage, or the look that you obviously present to the mirror before you head away on a lad's holiday. One thing I did want to cover, which I know I touched on at the start of the video, is just the updated prep timeline and what that kind of means. So yeah, obviously with prep kicking off a little bit earlier, this is still a significantly shorter prep for me than 2023. In 2023, I started in February and that ran up until November. It's now April, so there's 3 months less there pretty much. Well, 2 months, but it'll be close to 3, you know, whenever you consider the dates and the difference. 10 weeks, pretty much less on the timeline. Thought process behind that is really just, you know, as we all know, and it's kind of become more commonly accepted now over the last couple of years, even since my last prep, the longer the prep, the more your body and your look will suffer as a result, especially as a natural. You know, we were talking about it on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. The look that I presented at the WNBF Worlds was not my best look by a long shot. You know, by that stage, my body was just tired. And yeah, you know, really, I at that stage probably just needed to get into recovery mode. So this time we've gone for a little bit more of a short prep, a more condensed timeline. But as a result of that, it does mean I need to be pretty assertive out of the gates. So what that looks like is just no messing about. You know, cardio, I would imagine, will probably be in from the off. Steps, as I mentioned yesterday, obviously will need to be prioritized quite a bit, and I am expecting quite a sharp drop in terms of calories and food. I am hungry for that, and I've always just, you know, whenever I've been faced with adversity or tough situations, I've always responded very well to that. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to it. You know, I have no doubts I will just eat up that whole approach and really just push myself during the first couple of weeks and from the outset. You know, last time it was a little bit more of a gradual thing where, you know, you start off and maybe you reduce calories gradually to try and obviously protect performance as much as possible. I'm sure we'll still obviously want to protect performance this time around. You know, that's one of the most important aspects to a good prep. But at the same time, it doesn't get away from the fact that work does need to be done. We are on a timeline, and if you want shredded glutes, you need to dig for it. And for me, condition is not something that I want to leave up in the air. You know, I want to come in absolutely peeled, and I do want people to look at me on stage and go, "What the fuck is that?" Whenever they see my glutes and see how stripped out things are. So yeah, that's kind of an update as to, you know, what things look like and the thought process there. It just means, yeah, from the outset, really, things will be pretty full on, which I think I would probably rather have it that way anyway, you know, less wiggle room, but also just more of an intense environment. We're not at Libertine, we're at Heiberger, and we do have the Osmo today. You don't have your Osmo though? Yeah.
Oh, mega. It is dancing.
That is dance.
Just as a double.
Bro. Lad. Alright, so for context, lads, that was my Heiberger. It doesn't exist anymore. Jake's just finishing his off here. Yeah, he's got a bit like thoughts. Very good.
Quality, but I should have tripled.
Yeah, he was debating getting a triple, but went for the double just to keep the calories in check for the day, you know. But yeah, just for context, I had wanted to come here since prep 2023, and funnily enough, I favoured it. I had the photo of this burger and all. Their shit used to come up in my Explore page on Instagram. I was that fucked on prep. Yeah. No more girls and cars, just brownies and burgers.
Speaking of brownie.
You're currently resting on one here. But yeah, no, I'd been wanting to come here since 2023, had the photo favoured and all, and just never bothered. Like, I think that kind of speaks volumes as to how fucked prep really does make you. You make this massive list of like places maybe you want to try, you know, when you have a bit more freedom in the off season or whatnot, when you come out the other side. And more oftentimes what happens is you go through your recovery phase, you maybe have 1 or 2 off plans, you know, One or two. Yeah, one or two's maybe a wee bit shy. You know, you try all the main cuisines again, you know, like Asian, Italian, Indian spice, Five Guys, whatever it is, you tick them off your list and then you're kind of just like, all right, like crack on, you know, back to it, back to chicken and rice. That was my experience of it anyway. So places like this, which are very, very good, but quite niche. Yeah, it's kind of funny like how you have to go out of your way to really go to them. Glad I ticked it off though. You know, it's another one off the bucket list prior to D-Day, and abstaining from off plans for what's likely to be 6 months. All right, guys, that is us. We've high burgered. We've had a burger that says hi. So yeah, good evening. To be fair, it's the first time I've been in Banana Block, and I think we're both of the opinion it's just a bit of a hidden gem if you enjoy off plans and food. So yeah, no, we'll definitely be back post prep, but for now I think that'll do it as far as the off planning goes for me. But yes, guys, that's also where I'm going to leave the vlog. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I do really appreciate it. This time, because I know I did this in the last video, comment burger if you've watched the whole video, and I'll obviously know that you've stayed until the end and you're a real one. But yes, subscribe for more. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.